The restaurant was quiet that evening, filled with the soft hum of conversation and the gentle clinking of cutlery. Yet in one corner, a small table seemed suspended in its own world. At that table sat a single father, his worn blue janitor uniform still carrying the faint scent of floor cleaner, and his young son, a 6-year-old with wide, hopeful eyes and a bright red winter hat that seemed almost too big for his small head. The father's shoulders were heavy, not just with the exhaustion of long nights cleaning offices and empty hallways, but with the silent grief of loss, the kind that no one else could see. He had lost his wife years ago, and ever since, life had been a careful balance of survival and trying to make his son feel loved, even when his own heart felt hollow. Before we dive deeper into this story, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grandma Dearie if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of a single act of compassion to change lives. Across the restaurant, standing near the doorway in her crisp dark navy uniform, a female police officer watched them. She was in her early 30s, her blonde hair tied neatly in a ponytail, her badge catching the cool, neutral daylight that streamed through the windows. To everyone else, she was authority, strict, disciplined, untouchable, but her eyes told a different story. They were tired, hollow in a way that only years on the force could carve, carrying the weight of trauma, lost dreams, and a loneliness she had learned to hide behind her uniform. The world saw the badge, the gun, the radio clipped to her shoulder, but no one saw the emptiness she carried home each night. And yet, as she looked at the small family in the corner, something inside her stirred. A recognition, a memory of herself as a child, of feeling unseen, of wishing someone had reached out to whisper that everything would be okay. The father tried to smile at his son, who was staring at a small chocolate cupcake with one candle, the only celebration he could afford this year. He counted his few bills and coins before ordering, careful, protective, as if each coin was a promise he had to keep. Life had taught him to hold back, to be cautious, to survive quietly in a world that rarely paused for people like him. The boy, oblivious to the weight of his father's worry, clasped his small hands and looked at the candle, imagining a world where wishes could come true. The cop moved closer. She did not hurry, but there was a gravity to her steps, the kind that made the air around her feel charged with something unspoken. The father noticed her presence and tensed, protective instinct kicking in. His son looked up, curious but not frightened. The restaurant seemed to hold its breath, the ordinary warmth of the room dimming into a kind of suspended attention, as if the universe itself knew something extraordinary was about to unfold. When she leaned down, lowering her voice to a whisper, it was not a command, it was not a reprimand, it was a quiet, deliberate act of kindness meant only for the father and son. Her words were soft, almost imperceptible, yet the effect was immediate. The father's eyes widened, emotion breaking through the exhaustion and caution he had carried for so long. His son's face lit up with an uncontainable, innocent joy that seemed to spill into the room. The ordinary restaurant, with its brick walls and framed photographs, suddenly felt sacred, like it had witnessed a miracle without anyone else realizing it. Life had been a constant struggle for both of them. The father faced relentless financial pressure, the exhaustion of nights spent cleaning floors in offices where no one noticed him, and the ever-present fear that he could not provide enough for his son. The cop faced battles that were invisible to the world, years of trauma, loneliness that gnawed at her during every quiet moment, and the constant weight of responsibility that never left her, even when she walked away from a scene. Yet in that whisper, a bridge formed between their lives, a connection forged in compassion and recognition of shared human struggle. The restaurant staff, though unaware of the full story, began to notice the change. Plates arrived, a few extras brought quietly by servers, smiles exchanged that felt genuine for the first time in weeks. Other diners stole glances, sensing something tender and fragile unfolding. The father sat straighter, relief easing the lines in his face. The boy's laughter, small but pure, echoed between tables, a sound so simple and beautiful it seemed impossible for anyone in the room not to be moved. The cop straightened and stepped back, watching from a distance, a soft exhale of relief escaping her. She felt it herself, the quiet, almost imperceptible lifting of a weight she had carried for far too long. Time did not suddenly become easy after that night. Bills were still tight. Long shifts still awaited. Challenges persisted, but hope had arrived, quiet but unmistakable. The father realized that small acts of kindness could reach him even when he thought he was invisible. His son learned, in a moment no child forgets, that the world could still surprise him with generosity and love. And the cop realized that her own heart, hardened and lonely, could still feel warmth, that her own life could shift with a single act of reaching out to someone in need. If this story is touching your heart, please pause now and comment with one word that describes how it makes you feel. Your engagement helps spread these stories to others who need hope and reassurance that kindness still exists. As the night wound down, the restaurant settled back into its quiet rhythm. The father and son left together, hand in hand, their hearts lighter, carrying the memory of a woman in uniform who chose to whisper hope into their lives. The cop remained, quietly observing, feeling less alone than she had in years, knowing that even a small gesture could ripple far beyond what anyone could see. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the power of empathy, the strength in small kindnesses, or the hope of second chances, please like, share, and subscribe to Grandma Dearie. Let this story remind you that even in moments of loneliness,